So we are outside both King's Cross and St Pancras mainline stations in the London Borough of Camden, and we are going to be exploring pretty much this entire rail complex with both National Rail, International and Tube services here. So let's go, starting with King's Cross. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but they're actually building a brand new entrance into King's Cross Tube Station, which is kind of cool. It's often forgotten about it. And here you can get a nice view of St Pancras with the famous clock tower. And over there's King's Cross Station. We'll go over there in a second, but we have to do that by going into the tube station first. And I'll see you on the other side. You got the magnificent building of St Pancras. And it's just brilliant. And I'm pretty sure this is one of the most beautiful stations in the world. It's often regarded. And across the road, right here, got the fabulous clock tower from this side. There's one of the entrances into the tube station, as well as a glorified staircase which goes up to the drop-off bay of St Pancras. And here is the main entrance into the tube station. You can tell by the underground sign. And it looks fairly modern. That's because it was rejuvenated, this entire area, back in 2007 when HS1 came and there was the demand for the 2012 Olympics. And here you got the King's Cross station here. This opened in 1852 and it's now become a big starting point for the London and Northeastern Railway. And actually, a rather ambitious plan was to build like an elevated airport around this area and even right above King's Cross. But man, imagine if that happened, what would it look like? Horrendous. So thank God that never happened. But markets here, which slightly obscures a view of the station, but we'll enter through there. That's the entrance into the station, and that's where you come out of. And it's a shame how you have to enter King's Cross from the side here instead of the front. Here's the entrance into King's Cross from the side, and this actually opened in 2010, 2012. And it was for the 2012 Olympics. And we enter King's Cross, and you got a magnificent arch here. And it's also where you can wait for your train. And you enter the platforms through those barriers. And for 9 to 10 through those barriers, all the way in the distance, but the G&H bar, and also another entrance into the tube, which is through this food court. And up there is where you can get a fabulous view of the station. I want to go up there actually. I'll see you up there. And you can climb up here, and as you wait here, you can get a fabulous view of King's Cross Station if you stand here. Man, this is a good vantage point. And King's Cross serves trains up to like the northeast of England, like Hull, Newcastle, and all the way up to Edinburgh, as well as in further afield into Scotland, like Inverness. You see the noon departure board? That actually gets into Inverness at about 8 o'clock. It's like about 7 hours of travel. Man, that is so long. This is amazing. We have a family waiting area in there where you can have a drink. And over there in the distance is a queue for platform 9 3/4, which is a Harry Potter area actually. And you have to pose for a photo, and staff give you a scarf and a wand and you have to pose. That's amazing. Got a Rails restaurant and pub here. I'm pretty sure it's decorated in Victorian architecture. And that's another entrance into King's Cross. And it's right next to St Pancras. And there's another entrance into the tube station.
The train at platform 2 is the 11:27 Grand Central service to Sunderland.
Right here. It's another tube entrance.
This train is formed of 5 coaches. For the passengers intending to travel on this service, please join the train now, as it is ready to leave. An at-seat service of light refreshments is available on the train. Platform 2 for the 11:27 Grand Central service to
For the ready to leave announcements, the second verse of it should say the blah 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 is now ready to leave. Not the train is ready to leave. I'm pretty sure. That's just my level of English. That's the entrance to platforms 9 and 10. And here is platform 9 and 3/4. And to the left where you exit is the Harry Potter shop. This is just brilliant. I can't believe they have such a place. And it's even marked on Google Maps as a point of interest. This here is the parcels yard, which is upstairs. I'm sure it's another thing for Flying Scotsmen. That's the Harry Potter store. And you can also go up to the studios in Watford to check out more of Harry Potter.
Please use handrails while using.
There's another entrance into the tube. It's only added as part of this project. So we're walking along platform 8 at King's Cross. Hey, LNER Zoomer here. I'm sure this is the only type of train they have of LNER's fleet. And we've got a Grand Central service which will form the Sunderland train in the next few hours. Or a Bradford service, I'm not sure. And the train dives immediately into a tunnel. To pass under Pancras Square. But the whole train's livery, this looks very nice. The Great Northern 387. Nice ornate canopies on the platforms for the LNER. It's a nice touch. And you also got a disused platform here. You see there's a really wide space where there is no track. And that over there where the train is platform 10. This is 9. Why does this even exist? And I'm pretty sure it's because this space here is too narrow. The Thameslink. This train is going to leave in a few minutes for Kingsland via Cambridge. This is a nice leisure destination, home to many universities. And it's now leaving. I'm pretty sure it's leased from Southern, I think. And another LNER Zoomer. Pretty sure the Intercity 225s are gone. So I'm pretty sure, I think on paper it's a good thing, but it's sad. This includes e-cigarettes. And that LNER train that arrived as platform 0. got a Eleni on the Pride livery. That's a first. Never seen that before. got a Intercity 225 leaving King's Cross for Leeds. The iconic Lest We Forget on the locomotive. Yeah, these trains are slowly going away over time in favour of the new Zoomers. So platforms 9 and 10 of King's Cross are much less interesting because there is no arch. I'm pretty sure these were built later, not in 1852. So in the platforms 9 and 10 entrance, you got another entrance into the tube here, and over there is St Pancras. So right over there now. Here you got these circular entrance and shopping bits of King's Cross that opened during this area's redevelopment of St Pancras and also the opening of HS1. And speaking of it, we're going to head into St Pancras right now, but from the front. Here's the glorified staircase into St Pancras, which is right next to one of the entrances into the tube. Let's go up here. Hotel residence only. So let me explain about this building real quick. Yeah, this building here is actually the Renaissance Hotel, which is what St Pancras lies on. So that arch there is the Renaissance Hotel's entrance and reception, and this arch is for St Pancras International. And let me talk about a bit of history. So basically, the station opened in 1868 by the Midland Railway, and it was actually threatened to close in the 1960s during the beaching cuts. And it also coincided when the United Kingdom was actually starting to become a car country. And one of the railway terminus that he threatened to close was St Pancras, but and it was because the station was really dark and dingy, with all diesel fumes spreading everywhere across the platforms. But now it's still open, thankfully. And it was only rejuvenated in 2007 during the HS1 project, which has really boosted tourism in London. And as soon as you enter in this grandiose arch here of St Pancras. Man, it's amazing. Wow, man, it's amazing. And previously the platforms used to extend to this fence here, but with the rejuvenation of the station for HS1, the platforms now stop over there. And before 2007, Eurostar used to call at London Waterloo, but Now, I think St Pancras is a much better terminus for high-speed international trains towards Paris, Brussels, and Amsterdam. Got 2 E320s and 2 TGV TMSTs. Got tons of shops and restaurants here to mark the fact it's an international station. And if I go over there, there's something really cool to see. And here you've got the massive clock, one of the largest clocks in the world actually. And you've got a sign here which is "I want my time with you," and it was installed in 2018. And it's right next to the C320. It's iconic, man. We even got old heritage signs for the booking office. And here, got Sir John Betjeman, which is cool. This guy in the suit, gazing up to the magnificent arch. Here you got a few tables and chairs for the CSC's restaurant, I think. And I can't believe this is so iconic. And this train, the C320, was formed in 1924's train for Paris, Gare du Nord. And the team Great Britain, yeah? Because Paris is hosting the Olympics this year. And Paris, and actually Disneyland Paris, will be crammed in with visitors across the world. Right here. And a lot of people don't notice this, but there's actually an entrance into the tube station in the entrance into St Pancras. Which is cool. I can't believe this exists. And to the right is the shopping area of St Pancras. Right here, we'll go down there in a second. And there's a visitor centre here, but that's only for those who are coming from the continent. And it's a gateway station, King's Cross St Pancras, which means people are coming abroad into the UK and through a tube station, and therefore this is a gateway station because you've got international travellers. So now in this area of St Pancras, the new bit, you've got an entrance into the tube. There's the Southeastern entrance, and here you've got these wonderful departure boards that they, thank God, renovated to be more clearer to understand. So kudos to St Pancras for this. Got Southeastern, Thameslink, Eurostar and EMR in their respective colours, and where you need to go for these operators. It's all good. And what is this on the EMR platforms? EMR Let's Roll. And they show a rather grumpy looking troll here. That's just hilarious. Yeah, we're on the East Midlands Railway platforms, which are 1, 2, 3 and 4. And behind the fence, you have the Eurostar platforms. And then over there you have the Southeastern platforms too. So you've got 3 different operators here. EMR, Eurostar and Southeastern. You also have Thameslink, which is platforms A and B down underground. And we got a Eurostar Class C320 arriving, or the Class 374 coming in from, I think, Paris. So now, this next secret actually has more deep lore from Thomas the Tank Engine, specifically in the Railway series story called Gordon Goes Foreign. So in that story, the plot is Gordon argues with an LMS engine who claims that the big station in London is called Euston, and Gordon would argue with him, claiming it's called King's Cross, and Duck would chime in and say it's Paddington, and it makes sense that they argue about their own station on their own railway. And then after that argument, when Gordon has the opportunity to head to London, he realizes that the station is St Pancras, and then he gets upset about it. So only trained people would get this story, because the reason why Gordon went to St Pancras and not Euston, King's Cross or Paddington is because St Pancras is the Midland route terminus, or was the Midland route terminus. And if Gordon comes from Sodor, he would have taken the Midland route towards London, not the Northwestern one, or the LMS one as it was called. So that is actually such a smart story Wilbert created. Kudos to Wilbert. Well done. It's got two trains. One is a class 222 Meridian for Nottingham, and the other is a class 360 for Corby. A Eurostar train leaving for Paris.
Good afternoon, ladies and gents. This is a ECML customer announcement. The train platform 2, is a 1535 Nottingham service. That's a 1535 Nottingham service, boarding on platform 2. This train will be calling Piccadilly, Edinburgh, Leicester, and Nottingham. Customers bear in mind things do close 2 minutes before departure.
And then rounds a tight bend. A train terminating here. And the EMR services from St Pancras serve only Nottingham, Sheffield and Corby. No other destination. Right, this EMR Connect is now ready to leave for Corby. It's only 4 coaches. Stops all the way at the front of the platform. E300 from Brussels. Alright, so we're now going to head up to the Southeastern platforms, which are platforms 11 to 13, and they're the platforms which serve the Class 395 Javelins, which head to Margate, Ramsgate and Dover. And that's the entrance into the Thameslink platforms, and this is the way to the Southeastern station. Really nice modern destination screen. Kudos to St Pancras for this. It's so sophisticated. And EMR, Eurostar, Thameslink and Southeastern all shown on this destination screen. Previously it was just like a unsophisticated dot matrix. Well, nothing like a dot matrix. Now it's much more brighter and elegant. Anyway, over there is King's Cross Station, where we just went earlier. And that's one of the entrances into the tube station. And here is the entrance into the Southeastern terminal. Alright, so here's one of the, a smaller dot matrix screen that looked a bit like the original destination screen that we just saw earlier. but it was only just modified a few years ago. And we're walking through a shopping strip, but because this is an international station, you got much more shops here than a lot of the other London Rail terminals. And there's another entrance into the tube, so you can tell by that roundel. Oh, they changed it. It's now another sophisticated one. And that's the entrance into the Southeastern station. School? And there's a E320 leaving for Paris, and these are the Eurostar platforms. You can't access it unless you have a ticket though, because of the immigration control downstairs. And adjacent to it are the Javelin platforms. And there's a train, it'll be the 1037 for Margate, which goes via the high-speed lines and the new Standard Parkway station, which I already made a video of, and it seems to be the most popular Standard Parkway video on YouTube yet. So make sure you go check that out if you haven't already. At the spectacular Javelin services, or the trains here, they were manufactured by Hitachi. And got the 10-year high-speed decal. Oh, it's a beautiful train. And they recently refurbished these trains, as you can tell by the new green handles. I'm walking down the further part of the platform.
Canterbury West this train has 12 coaches. New to a short platform, passengers for Canterbury West.
And there's a EMR leaving in the distance.
12 for the 10:37 service to Margate via Canterbury West. Please note, some of the lifts at Stratford International are currently out of service. Please speak to a member of staff if you need further assistance.
We got a Eurostar train arriving from Paris. Probably Brussels, I don't know.
Platform 12 for the 10:37 service to Margate via Canterbury West. Calling at Stratford International, Ebbsfleet International, Ashford International, Canterbury West, Standard Parkway, Ramsgate, Broadstairs and Margate. This train has 12 coaches. New to a short platform, passengers for Canterbury West should board the front 8 coaches. Please note, some of the lifts at Stratford International are currently out of service. Please speak to a member of staff if you need further assistance.
We got another EMR service arriving from Sheffield, I think. It's a 10-coach train, I think. Probably 9. I don't know, these Meridian trains have varying carriage numbers. ECML Connect leaving for Corby. And by the way, Thameslink trains are actually allowed on the EMR platforms in case of maintenance on the Thameslink core platforms. Great, Javelin service arriving. And this will form the 1107 to Sandwich and Ashford. An EMR service arriving. So this strip here is where all of the shops and restaurants are, and this side is the entrance into the Thameslink platforms, which is St Pancras Thameslink. And this part opened in 2007 as part of the redevelopment of St Pancras, and it replaced the old King's Cross Thameslink station, which which these platforms are close to St Pancras, but much further from the tube, which is a big disadvantage. And these are all the destinations you can take from these platforms. And head down now. We've got 3 escalators. I guess this is a big station, people having luggage. You also got a big lift here. And you head straight for the southbound platform, which is platform A, and you turn left for platform B, which is for northbound trains to Peterborough, Cambridge, and Bedford via Luton. Yeah, this is a very modern bit, and it's the start of the Thameslink core. And over there is the junction, where you have the reopened canal tunnels, which allow Thameslink trains to run from the core onto the East Coast Mainline. So, like the Peterborough Horsham service, or Cambridge to Brighton. Hey, Sutton via Wimbledon service. Because it's a new underground railway, instead of a wire for the overhead, you instead have like a plaster overhead instead. And that like reduces maintenance. Yeah, these platforms are much further away from the tube. Like if you want the tube, go to Farringdon instead. Or even Finsbury Park is up north. Don't ever change at St Pancras Thameslink for the tube. Use the other stations. Next train on the southbound platform is going to be Brighton via Gatwick. That's for Peterborough. The junction in the distance is Great Separator. Yeah, and you notice the train is climbing up into the canal tunnels. And by canal, I mean Regent's Canal. demolition service. We are now in the shopping strip of St Pancras International, and to the right is the Eurostar terminal. And this opened in 2007, replacing Waterloo International. And yeah, this is alright. I mean, the departure entrances are like kind of all over the place, because like you need to figure out where you have to go by staff. But for business passengers, they have their own entrance, so you don't have to worry about which entrance you need to go. Oh, and there's a ticket booth around to the right. You know, recently there were SNCF arson attacks, which disrupted a lot of the network, particularly before the opening ceremony of the 2024 Olympics in Paris. Okay, but on this street here, if I just go to the right here, so that is King's Cross Station. You've got Granary Square and the new headquarters of Google around there somewhere, and this is St Pancras right here. And the tube station is underneath all of this. So there is a plaque in this middle entrance, which is accompanied to the Queen by the former Duke of Edinburgh, to commemorate the 20th anniversary of the Channel Tunnel and the launch of international services. Okay, this is one of the newer entrances from St Pancras into the tube, and the original one is actually on the other side of the station, and it takes you to the subsurface ticket hall. I'm trying to find the exit I want to show you, actually. So this corridor was part of the expansion to St Pancras, and it opened back in 2007. I'm not going to walk the entire length of this corridor, but oh my god, this is a color illuminated, or really a rainbow illuminated corridor, and it is just beautiful. I mean, it's astonishing. And the fact, like, very few people use this, or the only people who actually use it is businessmen or businesswomen, and they go to their offices using this exit. It's beautiful. And the escalators down in the distance take you up to where the Google and YouTube headquarters are, and also to Granary Square where the Regent's Canal runs through. And now I just want to explain about this ticket hall. There are actually two ticket halls for the deep level tube. One of them is this one, but don't ever use this if you're going to the Vicky or Piccadilly lines, because you have to like go through such a long corridor in order to get to it. I'll show you some old footage of that. And the reason why some people would ever use this if they don't realize it is you're actually going under King's Cross Station, or really the frontage of King's Cross, and that is actually the first place they can bring you up to without having to dig up the entire station. So if you're a knowledgeable nerd of the tube, just use the back escalators, or really the original ones, if you want to get out instead.
This is a customer call for a Miss Mary Duberry. That's Miss Mary Duberry.
And you got this single exit only escalator up towards King's Cross Station, or really the new bit. And the entire concourse right here is actually underneath the new bit of King's Cross, where you wait for your train. That is cool. Right, here's another entrance, and this takes you up to the frontage of King's Cross, and it empties out into this corridor between the new and original ticket halls. But if you require step-free access, use the other side, not this side. This side does not have any lifts. And those are the ticket machines on the right, and this is the original gate line down to the deep level tube. And you've got a plaque to the right, and I'll show you what that is. Here's another exit up towards King's Cross, which is for the forecourt of it. Some departure screens. The Euston Road exit is this side. We're now walking under Euston Road. And here's a plaque commemorating the King's Cross fire back in 1987, when someone dropped a cigarette in the Northern and Piccadilly line escalator, which claimed the lives of 31 people, sadly. And it was this accident that resulted in all wooden escalators being replaced. There's another secret staircase up towards St Pancras. We're now under St Pancras at the moment, or really the frontage of St Pancras. And right in front here is the visitor centre, which is located in the original entrance from the tube into St Pancras. And this is where like tourists who come from Europe, and they can get tourist information and also like big bus tickets. And they can also buy an Oyster card from here, which I have done several times. And visitor centres are stations which tend to be classified as gateways under TfL's classification system. And King's Cross Station is the gateway to the British Library, which is cool. And these are the original Metropolitan line platforms where the trains are running on, but this part of the station only opened in the 1940s because the original Met was too small. And you got a big forecourt area, and actually I remember in a Spark documentary about the tube, there used to be gate lines here, but when the station was modified for HS1, they moved them up to a new ticket hall. And yeah, this is the original section of the Met, opened in 1863. This platform is for eastbound trains towards Aldgate and Barking, as well as via Victoria, and that platform is for all westbound trains. Alright, so we're gonna go up these staircases, and I'm actually now panting because all of this walking, it's taking forever. But this is the connecting corridor between the subsurface and deep level lines. Alright, we're going to start with the Victoria line, so let down there first. We'll start with the northbound and then the southbound one. And this staircase is the original way to the Northern and Piccadilly lines, sir. And I mean, King's Cross is a complex maze. Yeah, and the mosaic on the wall is kings and making up a cross. That's cool. In like blue, white, and cream colors, and even purple. And we've got a train. Beyond the station is actually a turnback sign to allow certain trains to terminate here. This platform again is the northbound one for trains to Walthamstow. And southbound provides more stations with more destinations. All the way to Brixton. You got the Euston Road exit, which is for the British Library, the Regent's Canal exit for Granary Square, which is that illuminated rainbow exit, and the rather abandoned Pentonville Road, which is where the original King's Cross Thameslink station was. But the platforms are still there, frozen in time. I just noticed this discrepancy on the signs here with, you got one sign here for Regent's Canal, but if I just go this way, along the sign, here, it says Regent's Park for some reason. But the Regent's Canal sign is the accurate one, and the correct one, not Regent's Park. Regent's Park is like a few miles to the west. Alright, we're now going to walk on one of the longest corridors, but this way is actually the old Pentonville Road exit. If you used to walk down this corridor on weekdays, it'll take you up to the Pentonville Road exit, which, by the way, was the old station building of the King's Cross Thameslink station. And this is the corridor that takes you between the Vicky and Piccadilly lines. It's going to be so long. And if you had to follow the signs of how to change, you'd have to walk down this corridor, but it just takes ages. Whereas if you go out the 1960s way, it's actually much quicker to change, or through the other corridors. And this corridor actually goes underneath King's Cross Station, and therefore it's the furthest place they can bring you up to the service without having to demolish King's Cross. This way is the Piccadilly line. It's quite dull because one of the escalators is shut. There's a sign for the eastbound platform.
Oh shit! Oh.
Yeah, and this platform serves trains for Arnesgrove and Cockfosters. Just leaving right now, one of them. In between King's Cross and Caledonian Road is actually an abandoned station known as York Road, and that closed in 1932, but as part of the King's Cross Central development there was actually a proposal to reopen the station, but pretty sure that's been kiboshed. And this is the westbound platform for trains to Heathrow and Uxbridge. We're now going into a secret passageway between the Piccadilly line and the Northern line. So as you know, the ends of the Piccadilly and Northern line platforms are on like a 90-degree angle. but they're actually going in the same direction, or really similar directions. And if you walk through this passageway, a secret one, it actually goes under the eastbound Piccadilly line, and those stairs down there take you to the Northern Line platforms. And you can use this without having to use the escalators. But obviously if you have luggage you cannot use this. Northern Line, southbound to Morden, northbound to Edgware and High Barnet via Camden Town. And here's the map for the northbound platform, and it's for Edgware, Middle East and High Barnet. You've got a message up there saying change at Euston for Charing Cross branch, stations beyond Camden Town, take the first train and change there if necessary. Okay. Now we're on the southbound, which is platform 8 at King's Cross St Pancras Tube. But there's actually something I want to show you at the end of the corridor first, before we do anything. Yeah, and this is one of the corridors that was built as part of the King's Cross renovation for HS1. It's right here. Oh, you got this nice, it looks quite funny actually, the end of this passageway, because you got a plaque here for Full Circle by, I'm pretty sure this is a German artist, Knut Henrik Henriksen, which is very cool. And it was made possible by the Norwegian Embassy and the Office for Contemporary Arts Norway. Not Germany, Norway I think did this. Man, it is hot today. And actually, according to a BBC News report, they stated that the Victoria line is the hottest tube line, not the central one anymore. Which is strange, because Victoria uses modern rolling stock. But why is it the hottest? I'm not sure. It's the southbound map. The train's going all the way to Morden and to Battersea. But you need to change at Kennington for that. Why did they show Battersea anyways?